Good evening, everyone. It is now 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to Richland County Council's regular session on this May 17th, 2022. This meeting will now come to order. First item on the agenda is item 1A, which is the roll call. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Malinowski.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
McBride.
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Horatio.
Here.
Joe Walker.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
O'Walker.
Present.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda is item 2, which is the invocation, which will be given by the Honorable Cheryl English. Ms. English, you recognized.
Let us all go before God. Father, it's in the precious name of Jesus that we acknowledge your deity and invite your holy presence into our midst. We humbly come before you, seeking guidance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as we carry out the duties that are set before us. Thank you for your grace as we make decisions regarding the betterment of Richland County and its residents. Father, we give you thanks for this amazing team of leaders and staff dedicated to the mission of supporting the residents and citizens of Richland County. Allow this entire community to work as one unit for your glory. Encourage each of our hearts, Lord, as we work to strengthen the bonds of brotherly love within Richland County. Father, it is our hope for peace. It is our desire for health and welfare for all. Allow us to serve with joy and compassion the task you have placed in our hands. We pray for your anointing that makes all things easier. It is with grateful hearts that we praise you. These and all blessings we ask and thanks we give in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. May we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, English, for those words. And next item on the agenda is item 4. It's going to be presentation of proclamations and resolutions. Item 4A, which is a proclamation honoring National Public Works Week, which is from May 15th through May 21st, 2022. That will be given by the Honorable Overture Walker. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair, I'll be handling that tonight.
Well, will be given by our Vice Chair, Councilwoman Jessica Mackey.
Thank you. I always enjoy when we can take a little time to celebrate those in our community, and tonight is an extra special time because we have several proclamations to give. So I'm happy to see so many people here in the audience tonight. A proclamation honoring National Public Works Week, May 15th through the 21st, 2022. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' daily lives, and whereas the support of and understanding by an informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operations of public works services and programs such as engineering, local roads, stormwater management, solid waste management, recycling, beautification, general labor, and airport management. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities, infrastructure, and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities and infrastructure, as well as their planning, design, maintenance, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of local public works officials. Whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff Public Works Department is heavily influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the work they perform. Now, therefore, Richland County Council proclaims the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as a community as National Public Works Week. Richland County Council calls on all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the challenges involved in providing public works services and to recognize the contribution which the public works staff makes each and every day to our health, safety, and comfort. All right. We would have our public works officials come forward to receive your proclamation. Mr. Chair. And if we have any other staff in the audience at all, please stand up and be recognized as well, please.
Keep it moving, keep it moving. Let's go.
The chair doesn't bite, I promise.
Thank you again for your service.
Becky, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have a resolution honoring Richland County Emergency Medical Service employees. And I'll have the clerk's office read that one for me.
Whereas emergency medical service professionals provide a vital public service to the citizens and visitors of Richland County. Whereas well-trained and highly qualified emergency medical professionals maintain in constant readiness, enabling them to quickly and effectively assist those in need, as demonstrated during numerous disasters and daily emergencies. Access to professional emergency medical service dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas Richland County Medical Services consists of more than 200 emergency medical technicians, paramedics, physicians, and administration. And whereas Richland County Emergency Medical Service is one of the busiest EMS systems in the state. Whereas May 15th through 21st, 2020 has been proclaimed National Emergency Medical Service Week. Now therefore proclaimed that Richland County Council members Bill Nalowski, Derek Pugh, Yvonne McBride, Paul Livingston, Allison Teratio, Joe Walker III, Gretchen Barron, Overture Walker, Jessica Mackey, Cheryl Inglis, and Shakise Newton do hereby recognize and honor all Richland County Emergency Services employees for the many contributions and the dedication for caring for their fellow citizens suffering from sudden illness or traumatic injury on this day, the 17th of May, 2022.
Those that are here for EMS, if you would come forward, please. Thank you so much.
Recognize Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. Next is a proclamation recognizing the 2022-2023 Junior League of Columbia President, Renia Jameson. Whereas the Junior League of Columbia is an organization of women committed to promoting volunteerism, developing the potential of women, and improving communities through the effective action and leadership of trained volunteers. And whereas the Junior League of Columbia was founded in 1924 by Catherine Heath Manning Perry and was admitted to the Association of Junior Leagues International in 1925. Whereas the Junior League of Columbia has served as a leading force for change and growth throughout Richland County for nearly a century, leveraging fundraising and volunteer hours to accomplish projects that include helping develop Columbia Children's Theater and establish sister care, to promoting childhood health through its annual Healthy Kids Fun Fair, advancing domestic violence prevention, and leading the charge to create Columbia's volunteer Guardian Ad Litem program. And whereas the Junior League of Columbia made history on May 5th, 2022, by swearing in local entrepreneur and community leader Renia Jameson as the organization's first African-American president. And whereas a proud wife and mother, Jameson is the founder and CEO of Purpose Promotions LLC, co-owner of The Lick and Great Escape, and serves on the board of directors for a number of local nonprofits, including Central South Carolina Habitat for Humanity, where she serves as president, and Richland Library Friends and Foundation, as well as the advisory boards for Leadership Columbia and Talented 10th. Whereas Jameson is challenging the Junior League of Columbia and its nearly 1,500 members to take the next step for the people of Columbia and Richland County and build on the organization's legacy of service. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, Richland Council members, Yvonne McBride, Cheryl English, Paul Livingston, Allison Terratio, Overture Walker, Jessica Mackey, and Shakise Newton do proudly congratulate Renia Jameson on her historic achievement in becoming the first African-American president of the Junior League of Columbia and encourage the citizens of Richland County to join in this celebration.
Good evening and thank you. Just want to say quickly, I would be remiss not to let you all know that each and every one of you represent the 1,500 women that I represent. And so I stand here as a 5-1 force representing 1,500 women who know how to show up and get things done. This is a true honor. I've worked with many of you over the years, behind the scenes, supporting the work of our great county. And so it's an honor for you guys to turn the table on me and support me and celebrate me at this time. So I just want you to know I deeply appreciate it. And I would be remiss if I did not give two special shout outs. And that's to Councilman Pugh, who is I would say a honorary member since his wife holds it down for us with the league, and especially Councilwoman Barron, who is a very strong, proud member of the Junior League of Columbia that I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with. So thank you to the citizens and thank you to our leadership. I appreciate it.
Real husbands of Columbia Junior League.
I think you've already got your first meeting planned out. Is this good?
Next item on the agenda is item 5A, approval of the minutes, and that would be the regular session minutes from the May 3rd, 2022 meeting. I entertain them. Well, first of all, any changes, additions, or deletions to those minutes? All right. Mr. Malinowski, you recognized.
Hey, Mr. Chair, on page 10, about halfway down where it talks about Councilwoman McBride, we got in favor and opposed right above the point of personal privilege. And we've got Councilwoman Barron voted in favor and opposed it, so she needs to make a choice. Okay. Also, Mr. Chair, it's come to my attention that during the May 3rd meeting, when we got to items 15, A, B, and C, and of course C was the land development code, we had about a minute and a half of audio glitch where it did not come through. So the public had no idea what we were talking about, although they had great video of us sitting here. I would like to read into the record my verbatim comments from that May 3rd, 22 meeting, which was relating to the motion that was made and passed unanimously by this council for that land development code. And I quote, "What I would like to do on this one is make a friendly amendment that I discussed with Mr. Jensen before the meeting and some of my colleagues as well. And that every place where it refers to zone map, preparation, and process, that we add the words and text after the zoning map. So it would be zone map and text. Now, so everyone understands, we're not saying that we're going out and hiring a new consultant and doing everything all over again. But we are saying because the text actually dictates what happens to the map. Therefore, we need to know, we need to let everyone know that what we're doing is amending this ordinance is actually, that what we're doing when amending this ordinance is actually reviewing the zone map and text. And so I just want to make sure that those are the words that are in the record. Thank you.
Ms. Malinowski. Additional changes or additions or deletions to the minutes?
Move for adoption, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Adopt as amended now. Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
All right, and there's second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
you,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item on the agenda is item 6, which is adoption of the agenda. Any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? Ms. Newton, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add one item, and I'd request unanimous consent to add this to the agenda to discuss the Lower Richland Library lease, and that would be for discussion only.
For executive session, Ms. Newton?
It's a contractual matter, so I would imagine so, but I'll let our county attorney decide.
Is that all right? You're recognized?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Yes, since it's a contractual matter, it should be an executive session.
For discussion briefly.
Sure.
Just would like to note for the listening public, there were questions at our last meeting about when the information was submitted by the library. And I just wanted to go on record for our friends that it was information that was submitted in early April for consideration. So it wasn't something that was trying to be squeezed in at the last minute. We may have some internal processes that make it take time, but I just don't want there to be a perception, and particularly as it's recorded in our minutes, that makes it appear that there was any type of ill will or inappropriate action. And just to note that those items were sent to us in April. Thank you.
Malinowski, you recognized.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask before we take a vote on this, is our attorney prepared to speak to this?
Yes, I will be.
Thank you.
Just before we take a vote on it, I know there are 3 items that I would like to have added to the agenda. So I guess we need to, I guess for purposes of efficiency, would it probably be best that I also put on the record items that I would like to have added as well, and then we can take a vote all at once if that suits the body. Malinowski, I'm getting that quizzical look from you. So
Waiting to hear what items you want added.
Well, not so much me specifically, but certainly colleagues have items they wanted added
Pardon me,
specifically.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Sure.
I'm happy to do that, but there's a motion that's on the floor. So do we need to withdraw that motion so that we're in order?
Well, I guess that would be the appropriate question. Should we just withdraw that motion at this time? Or frankly, we can just
We can have a friendly
amend
amendment.
it, a friendly
Sure.
amendment. Okay. So, well, I would move to, I'd like to add a friendly amendment to that motion, and I'll add a hospitality tax allocation for District 2, hospitality tax allocation for District 5, and a hospitality tax allocation for District 7. And I would also ask that those items be added to the agenda as items D, E, and F. And the current items that were listed as D, E, and F be changed to G, H, and I. Yes, Mr. Racio, you're recognized.
Thank you, Ed. And I appreciate these being added to the agenda. I just looked through some of my emails and I see that I sent an email for discretionary H tax for District 5 for 2 other organizations.
Those are currently on the agenda. That's item 19A.
Okay.
Yes, that's currently on there.
Okay.
So,
Second.
properly second. Any discussion? All right, there being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Clerk,
Motion approved.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 7, which is the report of the attorney, county attorney rather, for executive session items. Mr. Wright, you're recognized.
Yes, there are 2 items. The first is 7A, Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center, and the newly added matter with the library's lease.
And do you know if any of those items require outside counsel this evening?
No, they do not.
Okay, so those items will be taken up toward the end of the meeting. Next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Barron, you recognize.
Just a question for you. We voted to discuss the library. Does it also need to be listed on the agenda?
Well, that was part of the motion that was added to the agenda for executive session.
Oh, it's under the executive session items.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, we didn't spell it out, so I wasn't certain.
No, that's okay. That'll be, it's item 7B. Thank you. No, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 8, which is citizens' input for items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing. Madam Vice Chair, anyone signed up to speak this evening?
Yes, we have one person that signed up to speak. Mr. Fred Ainge. Okay. Remove him from this list.
No signed up to speak, correct? All right, hearing's now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 9, which is citizens' input. It must pertain to Richland County matters not on the agenda, items for which a public hearing is required or a public hearing has been scheduled and cannot be addressed at this time. Anyone sign up to speak, Madam Vice Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We had 3 individuals sign up to speak this evening. The first is, and pardon me for not getting this correct, so I'm gonna try my best to read it. Reverend Carrie Grady. Okay, if you would come forward, please. I ask that you state your name, provide your address. Each citizen has up to 2 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Carrie A. Grady, pastor of Reed Chapel AME Church, 704 Gabriel Street, Columbia, South Carolina. Over the past 4 years, we have heard hundreds of ways that people are impacted by the housing crisis in Richland County. One person who has moved from one rental to another because of hazardous conditions such as mold, children of all ages who are couch surfing because their family can't afford rent. Many people are one medical bill, one car breakdown, or one other emergency away from being in search of a place to lay their head. Richland County had the highest eviction rate of all the counties in the state of South Carolina before COVID-19. As we begin to come out of the pandemic, many of the community issues that existed before were exacerbated and are still very much with us. An affordable housing trust is the solution. A housing trust will ensure that hundreds, if not thousands of families every year will have access to safe and affordable housing. Now is the time to continue to act. There is not a week that goes by that as a pastor that I don't get requests from members or community members who are in need of assistance of housing or who are dealing with having to scramble to relocate because they've been evicted. We need a trust to set our county up for success. Housing affects every aspect of people's lives. Housing affects education, food scarcity, employment, and we have learned through our research that the lack of affordable housing is an underlying cause of gun violence. Let's make sure that we keep affordable housing at the top of the list. To God be the glory.
Thank you. The next person signed up to speak this evening is Lady June Cole. If you would provide your first and last name as well as your address, please. You have up to 2 minutes for your comment.
Good evening. I'm Lady June Cole. I am at 309 North Trentham Road. What else?
That's it. And then if you go into your comment, we're good.
I am here on behalf of the League of Women Voters. I am the president of the Columbia area chapter. And with me, I have Keller Barron and Joe Fortuna. And we wanted to just briefly talk about the upcoming election and to just state our concern in terms of making sure that our voters are informed as citizens and that they have the opportunity to cast their ballots in a fair and accessible manner. The League is nonpartisan. We do not endorse candidates, nor do we oppose any candidates. Our primary goal is to defend democracy and empower voters. We are looking to get your support for our Vote 411 project. And Keller Barron is going to share a little bit more about that. It is our national database. Many of you are familiar with it. Many of you have already responded to the request for information. This database allows the public to hear your status in terms of the questions that are posed to you. It is written in your words. We do not edit or change anything that you put, but it gives them a chance to compare your responses to the questions to the other candidates that are running. So please let me share with Keller.
So if you would, please, that would conclude your statement. And next up is Keller Barron. If you would state your first and last name as well as your address, and then you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Keller Barron. My address is 7109 Still Hopes Drive. Good evening. I am glad to be here tonight because I want to take this opportunity to say face to face, thank you for your public service. As we move toward making elections, we're even more aware of the dedication of you and others to the League motto, making democracy work. As you know, as Lady June has said, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We urge participation in government. And the program I want to bring your attention to tonight is Vote 411. This is a site online, and here is a card with a QR code. That's new language for me. That you just put your phone on that, and I put my phone on it. I realized I had to take a picture of it. I had my phone sitting there, it didn't do anything. So if y'all do that, you'll come up with Vote 411 in South Carolina. And it is unique because it's an opportunity for you to find out what's on your ballot. So a little prompt comes out, find out what's on your ballot. You put in your address and your ballot comes up. Having worked at the polls almost 50 years, folks come in and become irate because they can't vote for Paul Livingston. And they say, well, his sign is right next door. True, but the line goes here and he is not. You can't vote for him. So this shows you what's on your ballot before you get there. Now, when filing closed, we sent an invitation to participate to all the candidates, and we asked them a question because we've got races in Districts 4 and District 11. And so the questions we said to them are, why are you running for office? And what are your qualifications? What are your top priorities for action? And then how would you improve the transparency, implementation, and oversight in the penny tax program? Lots of people want to know about that. So you look at that and then you think, well, I kind of like what she said, or I liked what he said, but now I'm going to compare that to somebody else. And you come and make your decisions, all that.
All right, that is your 2 minutes.
My time's up.
Your time's up.
Well, I guess I'll just have to say good evening again.
Well, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, that concludes our individuals that have signed up to speak tonight for citizens input.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Next item on the agenda is item 10, which is the report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of council, beginning on page 17, you have information listed under the coronavirus update, just a current reflection of the information that was pertinent to Richland County during the time of putting this report together. We were currently still listed in a low community level. That just simply means that according to the guidance for community spread, that Richland County is low. And so the guidance that you have listed there represents that guidance. Also, I did continue to report out the percent of vaccinations in Richland County and in the state. At the time of this report, it's roughly about 58% of Richland County residents who are eligible to be vaccinated did complete their full vaccination process, and about 54% of members of South Carolina who are eligible did complete their vaccination. So you can see the status of vaccinations across the state as a whole, and then in Richland County. Under the other updates, I did list a few items that are recent. The Midlands Business Leadership Group continues to work on the Regional Gateway Project, communicated the amount of funding that they have raised in support of the Gateway projects. This county council did commit to the upkeep of the regional gateways as they are constructed. And right now, the MBLG is working with other jurisdictions to finalize all of their local commitments to the project. So that is an ongoing initiative. And I did want to bring you up to speed as we recently met with that group on May 9th. You have heard a lot of information both in this county council as well as probably seen some of the information that was sent out related to the planning commission and kind of after the council voted to restart the mapping process, the planning commission then picks up their process. And so they recently met on May 9th to start their efforts or restart their mapping efforts. They do have a scheduled meeting as listed in your packet. That's going to be coming up on May 19th at 10 o'clock a.m. In council chambers. So I know that members may be interested in that information and the members of the community. And again, that's part of that restart process that the council did vote to move forward with. Change in date? 5:30. Oh, Mr. Jensen. So let's do this. Mr. Chair, if you would take a moment to recognize ACA Jensen, that way they can hear a different voice and get clarity on the information. ACA Jensen, will you do that, please, sir?
Jensen, you're recognized, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I should know better by now. Thank you. ACA Eric Jensen for the record. Very briefly, council chambers was occupied on the 19th at 10 a.m. And plus the council or the commission, wants to have more evening meetings to get the public out so they can participate. So they moved it to tomorrow night, the 18th at 5:30. That has been noticed. We sent out a press release on Friday last week. So the media is familiar with it. It's noticed on our website and all the appropriate places.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. And if you don't mind me saying, Mr. Chair, earlier we had a meeting where we talked about information that was kind of going out in print prior to meetings. This would be an example of information that was previously sent out, but has now been updated. So thank you for recognizing Mr. Jensen to correct that information. The other information here in your packet is the Riverbank Zoo. Recently, their park commission did vote to proceed with the resolution for a GO bond. That information will actually be scheduled to appear before council at your June 7th meeting. But I want to kind of go ahead and bring that information to your attention so you'll receive a full list of information associated with that. And potentially, you'll be looking at addressing that on June 7th, followed by the process associated with public hearings and ultimately readings as well. So The Riverbanks Park Commission will be looking forward to the council's consideration of their request for a GO bond for the Riverbank Zoo. Last but not least, we also have an animal care facilities agreement that's going to be expiring July 31st of this year. So this is another item that will be coming before the full council through the committee council process. But we did want the council to kind of be mindful of that because that will involve a process where we'll be negotiating with the city on that joint agreement because they do have the shelter and the county participates in that service that they provide to us to shelter our animals. With that being said, Mr. Chair, that concludes the information here presented in the report, but I'll certainly take any questions that you may have or members of the council.
Brown, any questions or any discussion from the body? Mr. Malinowski, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Administrator Brown, 3 places in your comments about the Planning Commission. I think we all need to get used to where you're saying mapping efforts to make sure we're saying mapping and text efforts. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Additional questions or discussion from the body? All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. Next item on the agenda is item 11, which is the report of the Clerk of Council. Madam Clerk, you recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. We do have a few things I'd like to share with the council and with the public. The upcoming fiscal year budget public hearing is scheduled for May the 19th at 6 p.m. We also have motions, council members' motions are due Monday the 23rd by 9 a.m. So please make sure to send your motions before Monday at 9 a.m. That'd be great. Also, District 7 is hosting, Councilwoman Barron in District 7 is hosting the first annual community walk is going to take place at W.G. Keenan High School on June the 4th at 8 a.m. Everyone is welcome for this to participate in this wellness program. Information will be shared on our website as well as other news media. That's all.
Questions or discussion from the body on those items in the report from the Clerk of Council?
I have one more to announce.
Sure, go ahead.
So it also, District 2, Councilman Derek Pugh is hosting a meet and greet with the president and vice presidents of the HOAs in his district. He's inviting all of them to attend this meeting on June the 4th at the Preston Mansion in the greenhouse, which is located on 1615 Blenden Street. The meeting will take place from 10 to 12 and is invited to all of the presidents and vice presidents of all of the HOAs in his district. And that's all. Thank you, Councilman.
You recognize Mr. Livingston.
I just want to give some kudos to our Columbia Richland Fire Department as well as the American Red Cross for what I thought was a tremendous event this past Saturday. The goal was to put smoke alarms in homes out in the Ridgewood and Barron communities. That's in area code 29203, which is the area that has the highest rate of calls and fires. There were some 7 volunteers there. The goal was to visit 350 homes. They even allowed Mr. Brown and I to turn a couple of smoke alarms. We hope they're still working. But it was just an awesome event for that community, and I think it's something we can do in other areas throughout the county that would be very beneficial.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda is item 12, report of the chair. At this time, the chair does not have any updates or announcements. Next item is item 13, which is open and closed public hearings. Item 13A, an ordinance amending ordinance number 05-53, 5-21, amending the Richland County Code of Ordinances so as to adopt the Richland County Land Development Code rewrite and to replace Chapter 26 Land Development, amending the effective dates of its provision and clarification of interim procedures. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had 6 individuals sign up to speak this evening. The first is Pam Selkenhouse. If you would come forward, state your first and last name as well as your address. You are given up to 2 minutes to speak tonight. Once you hear the alarm, that will be the end of your 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm Pam Selkinghouse, residing at 1944 Marina Road. Set timer for 2 minutes. Marina Road and Johnson's Marina Road residents in the Ballantyne, White Rock, Chapin, and rural areas of Irmo are adamantly opposed to the county's rezoning plans. I have approximately 1,400 signatures that petition the county to continue as currently zoned in continuance of our single family designation. The only new zoning code that is still single family is R1. Furthermore, I would like to add that these signatures were not gathered via the internet. We met and discussed this issue personally with each and every one of these 1,400 citizens. Please don't be fooled by the developers and their cries for first-time home buyers. This zoning is about the developers, many of whom are out of state, filling their pockets with money at the expense of Richland County, its taxpayers, and our already overburdened infrastructure. The lifelong dream of home ownership is owning a single family home. It is not about owning or renting a duplex, triplex, or a quad in rural areas of Richland County. Please don't allow the developers to ruin the diversity of Richland County. This rezoning will take the diversity away and make us all city dwellers. Nothing is wrong with the city. I enjoy the city of Columbia. I enjoy the shopping and dining, but I also like the farms, the local food. I like the trees. I like the fresh air. I enjoy Lake Murray and the clean drinking water that the lake provides to the city of Columbia. In order to be sustainable, we need this diversity. This county is full of abandoned shopping centers. Focus for homes and rental units should be redirected on these areas. Revitalize in-town areas first. Please stop this urban sprawl that only benefits the developers. We need smart growth that's good for the citizens. I would now like to submit these 1,400 signatures against the new land code. Signatures here, 1,400. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kim Murphy. You would state your first and last name as well as your address, and you have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane, Chapin. Thank you for slowing the process and for your effort to involve residents and taxpayers and property owners as you move forward in managing growth in the county. With that in mind, and in hopes of not sounding accusatory, I feel it's important to identify some concerns that could interfere with your goal. One, the ordinance in the public agenda packet published for this public hearing did not include Councilman Malinowski's motion that was unanimously approved to add "and text" after the word "map." Without seeing how the text amendment is supposed to be incorporated in the ordinance and the effect it will have, how can the public voice the appropriate concerns? Within the 30 pages in your agenda packet with a summary and history, the timeline did not include the second public hearing on November 9th, 2021. There were 10 impactful speakers. It seems that Councilman Malinowski's 4 very important motions that were approved unanimously on April 5th, including whether the county's infrastructure can handle the proposed growth that will come as a result of approving a new zoning map. Not sure what happened to that. Because the Planning Commission minutes have not yet been posted, Council is unaware of the comments of many concerned citizens that have spoken there. Also, a July 6th effective date was listed on the ordinance for the April 19th meeting when Councilman Livingston made his amendment, and it continues to be shown in documents in this agenda. A July 6th effective date was never approved by Council, so I'm not sure why it's in the ordinance. The public hearing was not known tonight until yesterday at 1:26 p.m. And I know you're trying to involve the community. If there's any way you can give us some more advance notice, that would be very helpful. And
That's your 2 minutes.
Just there are other things, and I thank you very much for your time and effort.
Thank you. Next is Lisa Borden. All right. If you would state your first and last name as well as your address, and you'll be given 2 minutes.
Lisa Borden, 116 Rideout Point Road, Irmo, South Carolina. Set timer for 2 minutes. I support smart, balanced growth in Richland County.
2 minutes.
The Land Development Code rewrite and the proposed zoning map are not smart growth or balanced growth. The citizens of Richland County are fighting for democracy and the right to address growth, development, economic issues, health issues, and safety issues in our communities. We are speaking out for our quality of life on behalf of ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. The county commissioners are responsible for protecting our community, its health, safety, and environment, and implementing the will of the people expressed by our votes and our voices. The citizens throughout this county have spoken loudly through emails, which you've gotten lots of, phone conversations, one-on-one meetings, and public hearings that we do not support the massive rezoning of our county to increase density. Changing 78% of the county zoning from RU rural district to more intense development, which provides land primarily for low-intensity, single-family residential development, is not what the farming community wants for our county. Of the 6 residential zoning districts, only 1 residential zoning district limits development to 1 single-family detached dwelling per lot. Every other residential district, R2 to R6, permits 4-family dwellings, 3-family dwellings, 2-family dwellings, and single-family dwellings. Now, when I met with the planning staff, they explained to me that that's not multifamily housing, but even a kindergartner knows 4, 3, and 2 is more than 1, which is the definition of multi. This proposed zoning map and text will destroy single-family neighborhoods in unincorporated Richland County that are not in HOAs. Please listen to the citizens of this county, uphold democracy, and deny this immense increase in density for our county. It's time to rework these documents with the quality of life and economic development being equal partners. Thank you for your support in delaying this process and allowing us to rework these documents.
Thank you. Next is Sherry Artis. You would state your first and last name, address, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Sherry Artis, 4601 Meadowwood Road, Forest Acres. I would like to reiterate everything that's been said and go to Councilmember English's prayer that y'all be directed and guided by God as to the proper representation of the citizens of this county. As this ordinance is currently written, it affects everyone, whether you are in Forest Acres where I am, or if you're out in the Blythewood or county areas, unincorporated county areas. Unfortunately, where I live, the 3 houses around me are in Richland County, which means if a developer came in and bought one of the houses, they could tear it down and ultimately put a duplex or a small apartment. That is not the way that Forest Acres would like to be. Forest Acres Council is adamantly against the rewrite of this. I have written all of y'all several times. I've received very little, if any, response, especially from my representative, Councilmember Walker, who is apparently just, I don't know, I'm not going to go there with that, but we're just—
Artists, please refrain from addressing any council members by name, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
I feel that y'all need to stop this at this time. The only ones that are going to benefit from this at all are the developers. And we have enough issues with the overdevelopment of areas out in the Northeast where they come in and put hundreds of thousands of homes and the infrastructure is not there. The developers are not being held accountable for the infrastructure, and which is something that they really need to do. So please, please, I beg and plead and pray that you will put a hold on this. Look at it. It's not affecting just the people in this room. It is affecting all of Richland County, Black, white, old, young, poor, rich, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Walter Jones. You would state your first and last name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Glad to be here. You know, I'm Walter Jones from Hopkins, South Carolina, 1005 Brown Road. Now, when I was coming up, as a little boy, all I used to hear is generational wealth. I mean, now I am 70 years old. Now my generational wealth finna decrease. Because for you allow the people to come around, put up duplex, the taxes don't go up, then my great grandmother kids would not have enough money to pay for the land tax that they do have. You know, I disregard this. I really do not like what's going on because you're taking away from the poor. Because you got the elders down in my area, don't even make that much because their Social Security is smaller than mine. So what do you all think about when you all get around the table and decide this is the best thing for us when you don't come down and talk to us and let us know what's going on? Because when we come in here, I don't even have an agenda for the night. They say they ran out. So I can't go back and show my fellow family members what we was talking about tonight. That you all wrote, not what I've written down. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Fred Ainge. Thank you. If you would state your first and last name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Fred Ainge. I live at 516 South Woodrow Street, Columbia, South Carolina. I also own a home at 201 Jesse Derrick Road in Irmo, South Carolina. I'm here to ask the same questions that I've asked at every other meeting. What is driving this zoning process? I've asked for information from the Planning and Zoning Commission. They have ignored me. I've put my request in writing in email. I've submitted Freedom of Information Act request. I've emailed each one of you, and the only person that has responded to me is Mr. Malinowski. Now, I don't understand this. There are 1,400 signatures on a petition against it. So what else could be driving this? Went to the South Carolina Ethics Commission, downloaded a list of donations for current members of the Richland County Council. Highlights follow. Campbell Consulting, a PR firm representing the Home Builders Association of South Carolina, donated $10,250. And I do have the breakdown by each of you. I won't address you by name. You didn't get any, Mr. Malinowski. John Lumpkin, a commercial real estate attorney, donated $9,700. MB Con Construction Company donated $9,500. You can see where this is going. Again, I'm not against zoning. And if you're offended by my comments, then you know how I feel. If you think my comments are unfair, then just answer my questions. Have we done the correct studies here? Have we done studies on the environment, on schools, on traffic? Because I've asked for it. I've actually paid for this information and haven't received it. And that's not right.
Thank you. That concludes individuals that have signed up to speak for this hearing tonight.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. This hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 13B, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of an ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina and Arrow Rock Pine View LLC to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, we have one individual that signed up to speak tonight, Dina Craps.
I had thought I had signed the paper on the rezoning thing that
It wasn't for this public hearing? Okay.
That wasn't clear when we came in.
there was a page under that page that they had signed.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, so anyone else have to speak, Madam Vice Chair?
No, that was it for that hearing.
All right, so that hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 13C, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Laser Form and Machine, Inc., and company previously identified as Project Laser to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair, we don't have anyone tonight.
All right, that public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is
Mr. Chair.
item. Yes, Mr. Malinowski, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I I don't know, maybe we need a vote, but the woman that signed up on the wrong page, it's an error. We all make mistakes. It would seem that she's taking the time to come down here and address council with her concerns. I don't know why we can't let her speak to the item she thought she was signing up for.
Just a second, Mr. Malinowski. I would ask the audience, certainly, this is a public session. I'm glad that you're here tonight, but we're also trying to conduct business. So I would just ask that you not chime in or interrupt while council members are addressing one another, okay? Thank you. Mr. Malinowski, so you're asking that the lady be allowed to speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure.
It's okay. Well, do we need a motion for that? Need to amend the
I make a
agenda?
motion that the woman that signed up on the wrong sheet be allowed to speak for the item she intended.
Properly second. All right, there be any discussion? There be, Ms. McBride, you recognized?
I don't have any problems with her signing up to speak. Close the.
The hearing has been closed, so it needs to be reopened. So I guess that'll be your motion, Mr. Malinowski.
You're right,
reopen the
Mr.
hearing.
Yes, motion to reopen that public hearing.
It's been moved to properly second by, I believe, Mr. Livingston. Okay, so any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
O'Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Thank you. So back to, that'll be item, where were we?
13A.
13A.
Make a motion, we allow the woman to speak that signed up on the wrong sheet.
That's correct. And so, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We have Dina Craps. If you would, state your first and last name as well as your address, and you have 2 minutes.
My name's Dina Craps, and I do apologize. The sheet was under that one, so I thought it was the next one to sign, and that's why I did. So I do appreciate you letting me speak. I live at 316 Nature Road in Blythewood, South Carolina. I've lived there 30 years. We are a rural community. Everyone owns acreage. And I am in opposition of the rezoning planning of our community. I've gone out on my own and gotten over 200 signatures that I'd like to give tonight. I think that everything needs to be redone, how this is going to affect the environment for future generations. Not only saying that, the traffic and road infrastructure in Blythewood is not up to par with all the recent building that's already been done, not to mention, more building being done before road infrastructure is put into place. So I'm just saying that there are a lot of other people that are on the same page. A lot of people haven't been able to sign because it's a paper petition, and a lot of people don't have a way to get to be able to sign it. And I'm only one person. I'm a grandmother, a caregiver. So you can only do so much in a day, but I have gotten 200 people and a lot of other people in the community. We're all on the same page, and it's not just Blythewood, it's Chapin, Hopkins, it's all Richland County. So I ask that you reconsider the whole plan. Save the future for our grandchildren. And I appreciate you letting me speak.
Thank you.
And Madam Vice Chair, no one else has signed up to speak, correct?
No, sir.
All right. Well, that concludes this public hearing. Next item on the agenda is item 14, third reading items, specifically item 14A, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Arrow Rock Pineview LLC to provide for the payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and other related matters. At this time, I entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Move to properly second. Any discussion? Mr. Malinowski, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, I realize we've had this 2 times before, but I'm just wondering why on the three economic development matters this evening. All we have is the subject matter and when the other readings were. And we don't have the normal information that's put behind it for the people to be able to see what we're talking about.
Mr. Rubel, if you're on the line or if you,
He's over here.
Mr. Rubel, you care to address that?
Mr. Malinowski, as far as I know, all the documents went to the clerk, so I don't know what was included and what wasn't.
Yeah.
It was provided in separate cover sheet with your packet.
I got that in separate cover. My question is, why haven't we made the public aware of this, especially on a third reading? Kind of like, are we trying to hide something? We're just keeping this here. You keep this to yourself.
No, sir.
You know, well,
The
I'd like in
agenda
the
was
future, all
promised.
these items that I mean, this is public information. We're talking about fee in lieu of taxes, which is public money. All this needs to be put in here every single time. Thank you.
The discussion. None. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 14B, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina and Laser Form and Machine, Inc., a company previously identified as Project Laser to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and other related matters. At this time, I entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair. Second.
Move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 15, second reading item. Item 15A to be exact. It's an ordinance amending ordinance number 05-53.5-21, amending the Richland County Code of Ordinance so as to adopt the Richland County Land Development Code rewrite and to replace Chapter 26, Land Development, amending the effective dates of its provision and clarification of interim procedures. Entertain a motion. Mr. Malinowski, you recognized.
Before a motion is made, I would like to say that what we have in front of us tonight, May 3rd meeting, we had 30 pages of information that Assistant County Administrator Jensen addressed somewhat. I made a motion that was unanimously passed that was supposed to add additional language to the updated ordinance that we're voting on. There's also some question to me about the date or dates that are in this updated ordinance. Yet what we have in front of us tonight are the exact same 30 pages we had 2 weeks ago. We've got absolutely no changes to anything. So I don't know why we'd vote on something that hasn't been changed when the council voted to make some changes. So based on that, I would make a motion to defer this until the next council meeting and hope that staff can get it right the next time. Thank you.
Okay.
Properly second. Debatable. So Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 16, which is the report of administration and the finance committee. That will be provided by the Honorable Bill Malinowski. Mr. Malinowski, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the court-appointed special advocates asked for an adjustment, as is stated here, to increase their attorney pay, gave several reasons why they felt they needed it. The committee had asked numerous questions of that particular group. You can see the information on pages 57 through 68 of your agenda, and the responses to all of the questions that were asked is provided in there. The committee did not have any recommendation from that meeting What they asked for was to forward this to council with the questions and the answers by this meeting. And that's what we have in front of us now.
There's no recommendation from the committee, Mr. Malinowski.
Right.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Ms. Newton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question would be, as we are in the budget process now and we are looking at salaries, et cetera, that we're paying out, is this a consideration that was taken into those numbers? And if yes, and if no, any additional information that you could share about how this would fit with our budget?
So at the time of this request, this came about because the department said that they didn't realize they had the issue, then they had the issue. So the COLA that we have proposed would affect these persons, but they are asking for assistance at this time in this way. So those are kind of separate things. They're asking for some immediate ability they feel to increase their budget to offer increased salary, but they will be able to receive the COLA just like any other agency that have budgeted for.
I still have the floor.
Yes, Ms. Newton.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the two processes were operating somewhat on parallel tracks. I guess my question would be, to the extent that you know, apart from the timing, does approving the COLA, the cost of living adjustment rather, does approving the cost of living adjustment address these concerns or not? Or is what is being requested here in excess of even what the cost of living adjustment would be? And then just a quick follow-up question. Were this approved today, just to make sure I heard you correctly, were this approved today, would they then get the cost of living adjustment on top of that because it's approved today, or are those things separate? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So those things would be separate because that new amount, if they were to get approved, would then have to be calculated to include the cost of living adjustment. Your other question to the amount, the cost of living adjustment would not get them what they're asking for. It would get them about, well, let me stop. They asked for a couple different things in their request, but the cost of living adjustment would not fully address what they have asked for. So their request for additional budgetary dollars to do what they believe they need to do would have to come in a different format.
I'm just curious. And then this came to council as opposed to going back to the committee because why? Just for my information.
The committee forwarded it to council without a recommendation. I don't have a better answer, Ms. Newton. I'm sorry.
You're just the person talking, so I asked the question. Okay, thanks.
Questions, discussion?
All I can say is that was a committee's recommendation. The vote was taken. It was a majority vote, so that's why it's here.
So Barron and then Ms. McBride.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as we discussed this and I attended that committee meeting, it was brought to our attention that this organization has not submitted a budget for this upcoming year. So my question would be, since that last meeting, have we received a budget from this organization so that if it comes that there is no recommendation from this committee, how are we even going to be able to, give them the cost of living wage without even having an active budget at this point?
The cost of living adjustment is based off of the salaries that the person is in at that time. So your decision today won't necessarily affect their ability to get the cost of living adjustment. That's a separate budgetary matter. In terms of the department's denotation that they did not submit a budget, we did speak, and what the department said was at the time, they believed that the funds that they had for their operations were sufficient to do what they were doing. Then later on, they realized they were in a situation where they could not staff those positions. And so then they realized there was an issue, and that's what they came forward with. So that was the explanation as to, at the time of the budget submission process, they thought everything was fine. But then later on, after that process had already got underway, everything was not fine. So they're asking now to address their salary concerns in this manner. I don't want to overspeak because you asked a specific question. We did communicate with the department to look at some internal opportunities with their funds. They did communicate in the packet of information that you have what they thought they needed to do to address that. So they did kind of speak to that and said, here is our recommendation based off what we believe is best. And so it came back to them asking for additional funds to address the salaries that they need to feel like they need to post to get those attorney positions filled. And they used, and I'm gonna stop talking here, if that's okay, and let you ask other questions. They used what they believe to be baselines that reflect where they thought they needed to be. So they communicated about DSS attorneys, they communicated about solicitor's office attorneys, they communicated about public defender attorneys, and then kind of use that to communicate, here's where we are, and here's why we're asking you for what we're asking related to that. So I'll stop there. I'm sure the department is on. I really want to speak on their behalf, but that's some basic information that kind of sums up what's in your packet that they provided to you and why they didn't do this during the budget process and are coming to you for a budget amendment to address what they feel is the current need. And the budget technically won't address that need until it's approved July 1, 2022.
So if I may.
Continue.
And so all that's great, Mr. Brown. It is. And I want to just put a caveat right here. I think that the work that Costa is doing is extremely important and that everybody needs livable wages. But I am concerned about the process. You speak about, so so does everyone, all departments should report a budget, correct?
All departments should report a budget. And if they say, I don't need any new changes, keep my budget the same, which is what happened here, then there's nothing new to report. So it's just the same budget that they had the prior year that they request.
And that's where we are currently. Where we are currently is that this agency did not need anything initially. And then after looking and doing a rescope, they realized, oh, maybe we do need some additional funds.
Correct.
So I just want to say that I just think it's important that as we go through processes, that we keep in mind that the process is the process. And some of this might have been alleviated with a little closer attention to the budget, because it just seems like to me that now we're at the crunch time. It's like, oh, we need this, but we're also in budget time, looking at the budget, and we don't really have one before us. So I just kind of question how we got here. But I digress. Thank you.
Ms. McBride, you recognize, and then Ms. Mackey, and then Mr. Malinowski.
Oh, Mr. Brown, is this sort of out of the norm in terms of the request that is being made this close to budget?
We traditionally don't have budget amendments that are brought before council. I think since I've been here, this would now be the second one where someone has come in and made a request for a budget amendment for personnel matters. But no, ma'am, not generally this time of year.
The second part, if this is denied, I'm trying to look at the impact on the agency if it's denied. And that's the first part of it. And then I have a second part to it.
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Chair, if it may be appropriate, because I don't want to speak on behalf of the agency as to the impact, Ms. McBride, I think really that question really would be appropriately addressed by the agency in that situation. So I don't want to put you off, I think that would be more appropriate, Mr. Chair.
Ms. McBride, would you rather hear directly from the agency?
Yeah,
Director Roberts is present this evening. Mr. Roberts, you can come on down. I believe also his managing attorney, Ms. Angie Cole, is present as well.
Good afternoon, Dante Roberts with Richland County CASA Director.
I'm Angie Cole, Legal Services Manager.
I believe the question was, how would it impact CASA if
This is denied
if
now.
this is denied? At the moment, we have one legal service manager, Mrs. Angie Cole, and we have one staff attorney, and we have 2 vacant slots. Our staff attorney, Amy Boss, will be on maternity leave in about 2 weeks, leaving us one legal service manager to handle about 700 cases, a little over 700 cases for the abused and neglected children in the county.
Yeah, we have about a little bit over a month left in this fiscal year. I'm trying to look at the impact because we only have a month left. So how is that staff person? I don't even know whether you'll be able to get a person within that time, but I'm trying to see if the new fiscal year, is it part of their budget or is anything in the new budget that will address some of those concerns? And I know you tried to address that, Ms. Barron, but I wasn't sure I understood.
The closest thing to addressing that would be if the council approved the cost of living adjustment, those positions would receive an increase, which would go towards that.
All right. So actually we're dealing with about a month and a half. Am I correct?
Yes.
To your question, Ms. McBride, and members of council who have the same question, the cost of living adjustment still would not address the amount that they are saying that they need to pay those positions. Just to make sure that I'm clear on that.
And this is the last one, Mr. So those positions aren't in the current budget. These are new positions.
The positions are in, the salary level that the positions are being paid. The department is saying we need to pay those positions at a higher salary than we're currently paying now, and we need an additional budget today and going forward that reflects that additional amount. And the cost of living adjustment that we hope you will approve would still not meet that level that they're requesting.
They're actually to increase a salary of a staff person.
Yes, ma'am, a couple of staff positions.
Couple of staff, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Mackey, and then Mr. Malinowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think you answered part of my question with Ms. McBride as far as this request would be for this year, which is about a month remaining. And just so we're clear, this department has not submitted a budget for FY23 that would reflect the increase that they are asking for today. So even if we approve this request today, we as a body do not understand the impact of what this department is asking for in fiscal year 23, nor has it been included and presented to the public. And please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Brown.
You are correct.
Thank you. So I do have concerns about what is the long-term impact for fiscal year 23 if the request has not been made of the department as a whole for us to review as an entirety as we look at all funding for departments. So that's one. Two, the request asks for raises for attorneys' positions due to lack of being able to recruit for salary. I understand, but it also asks for an increase for a current working employee. And so I'm trying to understand why that is needed at this time and that cannot be waited to include in your request for fiscal year 23 because you're not recruiting for that person if they're already here.
Ask Mr. Roberts.
Okay, so the pay increase for one, the legal service manager, we're asking for the increase because if we increase the incoming attorneys, Because the gap is so close, it would pay the staff attorneys more than the legal service manager that we currently have on staff. And that's why we are asking for an increase for the 3 staff attorneys. 1 is filled already, and the legal service manager.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, at this point in time, our budget requests, our budget still open for them to submit budgets for next year? Or how are we able to see this? Because we're talking about cost of living, but we still can't see the big picture difference in what this is looking like.
So the way you could still do that in terms of next year is that we still currently are going through the budget process. So that information could be provided and it could be considered as a part of the upcoming public hearing. That they can speak to it. You don't respond, and any other future workshops that we have scheduled, and any readings that could also still be considered there. So there is an opportunity for that. So that's the answer to your question.
Thank you. I will just state that I appreciate the information provided. I think it gives enough information for the remaining month in fiscal year 2022, but I think there's still a lot of information that has not been provided by the department for fiscal year 23 that I think in order for us to make an informed decision for the long haul, that the department should provide that information for our review.
Malinowski, you recognized, and then Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Livingston.
Chair. Administrator Brown, you indicated that the COLA, if the cost of living allowance, if it were given to them, it would bring them partway to what they are looking for, but not all the way. Well, not everybody gets everything they ask for all the way. Just look at our land development code. And about how long was it from when you were told they felt they didn't need any increased funding and they decided to then change their minds and say, oh no, we do want increased funding? You know about the time frame there?
Not exactly, but the budget process, I think you submitted budgets when we closed the budget module. Yeah, so late February, budget module closes.
Okay, about when did they come to you saying they needed more money? You have that? Just about?
The March 7th. When you saw it, 14 days before the briefing document was put on to the committee, whatever that time frame is.
Yeah, okay, no, quite short time. Director, have you tried to get part-time help? Or have you just advertised for full-time attorneys?
So we only advertise for full-time attorneys because that's what's in our current budget. We do receive grants to get part-time help for other positions in our organization, but because our attorneys don't work directly with victims, they represent the guardians, there aren't many grants out there to hire attorneys to represent the guardians.
I personally don't know if you'd have to have a grant to hire a part-time attorney. If I recall, some of the information that was provided to us by your entity stated that when you were doing your comparisons, that Charleston hires part-time attorneys. So if Charleston can hire part-time attorneys to help them get through this, why can't Richland County?
So we actually have one attorney on contract right now, and she makes, but I don't have to speak to what she makes, but we do have one contract attorney that we were able to work with administration and move some funds from the budget in order to cover that contract attorney to help with the caseload that we have now.
Well, you'd also be saving money, I believe. Administrator Brown, you can answer this. A part-time employee does not receive benefits. Is that correct?
A certain level of part-time employee does not receive benefits based off of
the hours they work.
Correct.
Right. So if we keep a part-time person under a certain hour level, we save money there too. I just think that they've not tried fully to exhaust all the means available to them if they haven't tried to get part-time attorneys. Of course, then they say they do have one part-time person. So also, just so that my colleagues know, a motion was submitted. I believe it got submitted during the committee meeting that, and if you're not aware of this, every county in South Carolina receives funding from the state of South Carolina for this exact same program, except Richland County. And the reason is Richland County started this, so to speak, did such a great job, and the state said, well, you don't need funding. So the motion has now been put in to try and determine what we in Richland County need to do to get on the state list in order to also receive state funding to further promote this program. So that's an answer that we have yet to receive, and we haven't gotten that one. But that is something else that I know that I asked for during the committee meeting. That's it for now. Thank you.
Livingston, then Ms. Newton.
Mr. Chair, to try to move this forward, I'm going to attempt to make a motion, and that motion is to allow council to present an amended budget that include what they need in the position with clear justification, and we'll take it up during the budget process.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Can you clarify that again? Provide an amended budget.
And then we'll take it out during the budget process.
Okay.
And they'll give us clear justification for the amended budget.
Gotcha, thank you.
Further discussion.
And that doesn't stop them trying to find out how the state pays for this.
Newton.
I was just going to thank Mr. Livingston for doing what I was going to try to do. So thank you.
Okay. Are there being no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
O'Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. Next item on the agenda is item 17, which is the report of the Economic Development Committee, which would be provided by the Honorable Paul Livingston. Mr. Livingston, you're recognized.
Item 17A, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain property located in Richland County and other matters related thereof. That's the first reading item, and the committee's recommendation is for approval for first reading.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Malinowski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney Wright, this being for the purchase of property, I don't know what we're allowed to say and not say, because once again, we don't have anything that's been put in the public agenda. So, I mean, there's several questions I had relating to what we're doing. And I mean, is this purchase agreement that's in front of us, is that a confidential matter or is that a public matter? And that was that was handed to us under separate cover.
Ask the attorney about whether or not it's,
Right, you recognized.
But it's not a legal one.
Mr. Wright, you recognized.
Well, all I have is what's online, so I can't respond to that.
You want me to just ask my questions?
Director Rubel, could you please chime in?
Yes, sir. Because of time sensitivities, we covered that tonight in the Economic Development Committee.
Because of what?
Time constraints. We were trying to lock the property up. So we did cover it tonight in EDC and as well as first reading tonight. The documents were included in the EDC packet. I thought they would be included as well in the full council packet. So there is a contract for sale.
Can this be discussed?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Director Rubel. My question is, in the purchase agreement, in the beginning, it says that Richland County wants to purchase tax map number such and such, approximately so many acres, and the acreage of the property is subject to being reduced by virtue of a pending condemnation that's described in here. And then when you go further through here, it gives a dollar amount that the owners are going to receive under the condemnation, yet we're paying them full price here. And so they're getting full price over here and they're getting the condemnation, is the way I'm reading it. And it seems to me, let's just buy full price and let it be condemned then.
You make a good point. No, sir, we're not buying the land twice. So we'll either condemn it and back it out, or we'll pay the full price for the rest of the property. Either way, we base the sales, our offer for the property off the evaluation for the condemnation. So it's the same price either way. But we'll
Okay,
only end
so
up
we're
buying it
not
once.
giving them condemnation price. And, all right, you might want to kind of,
Yes, sir.
you know, explain that a little
We're not
better
buying it
there.
twice. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that was my primary question. Thank you, Director.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely, Mr. Malinowski. Any additional questions or discussion? There being none. All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Recognize Mr. Livingston.
Okay, that moves to item 17B, a resolution approving the assignment of GD Ballpark Development LLC of all rights, interests, and obligations of Ballpark LLC on certain public infrastructure credit agreement between Ballpark LLC and Richland County, South Carolina, authorizing the county execution and delivery of an assignment and assumption of public infrastructure credit agreement in connection with such assignment. This is related to the commercial development project at the ballpark, which is not a mixed use development. That's a former Columbia Mountain League Park area down on Assembly Street. Is what this project is reference to, and the committee's recommendations for approval.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Malinowski, you recognize.
Is this going to be three readings?
This is just a resolution.
Well, that may be, but are we getting anything anytime? There's absolutely no resolution in front of us. So I don't know how we vote on something that we can't read. There's no page number. There's no resolution. It just says what you'd like to do.
Well, I'll let Ms. Rule speak.
Look at page 5 of the agenda. 17B.
Our attorney provided documents to the clerk.
It's in the packet, Mr.
In the secret packet, thank
you. Any additional discussion or questions? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
No, I don't know what I'm voting on.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Mr. Chair, that completes the report of the Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda is item 18, report of Rules and Appointments Committee. That will be provided by the Honorable Gretchen Barron. Ms. Barron, you recognize, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee would like to offer to the full council the notification of vacancies, and they are listed for 18-1A through Q. We also would like to add R for the Richland County Library, who has 6 vacancies. So for the committee would like to recommend for notice of vacancies 18-1A through R.
But again, for Ms. Barron, the committee is recommending notification of vacancies for
18-1A through R. I'm adding R, which is for the Richland County Library that has 6 vacancies.
For the recommendation of the committee, any discussion or questions? Yeah. You recognized.
Thank you. So I guess I was under the impression, and I can't speak to all of these boards, but for example, for the Planning Commission, I was under the impression that you had interviewed a number of candidates and were ready to recommend which would eliminate the vacancies. Are there 3 more vacancies?
Yes, that is correct. There are 3 additional vacancies that are coming up on the Planning Commission specifically.
That's breaking my heart a little bit. Okay, so then just for my information, because we have changed our board advertising process a little bit, that seems to be allowing people to, apply more quickly and in different ways. If we approve this today, at what point will we be able to accept applications? And then what would the deadlines be? Just because I want to promote these vacancies with my constituents.
Sure. So we will start upon approval tonight. This group will go out on May the 22nd. And the deadline for that is, Ms. Carrillo?
And I can get that information later, but
it's going out on May the 22nd on all of our mediums, digital mediums, as well as some new opportunities to advertise.
And then just last question, it had previously been our policy that for someone that had applied within, say, the past year, a certain application process, that when we had a new vacancy, we would see if they were still interested. Is that still our practice?
So to your point, their application does stay on file for 1 year, and they are still under consideration during that period of time.
Thank you.
Recognize.
Madam Chair, if I would just add one thing, the deadline is June 3rd.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and the online application will be available on the website starting tomorrow for folks to apply. And the 22nd date is we advertise in print.
Aaron, question, you need this body to vote on approval tonight?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, you've heard the recommendation in other committee. There being no further discussion or questions, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
O'Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Aaron, you recognized.
Thank you. Our next item is for 18B1, and the committee is recommending for the Employee Grievance Committee 2 vacancies to be seated on the committee. We are recommending 1C, which is Kimberly Tony, and for alternate 1A, John Robert Dunn.
Of the committee, discussion or question. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
O'Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Aaron, you recognized.
Thank you. So for our next item, the recommendation of the Rules and Appointment Committee is to remove the following not currently active boards, commissions, and committees. You can find that on page 77, and that is the Economic Development Commission, the Richland County Youth Commission, the Richland County Transportation Study Commission, Local Emergency Planning Committee, Disabilities and Special Needs Board, Midlands Commission on Homelessness, Bond Review Committee, Richland County Complete Streets Commission.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any discussion, any questions? You recognize Ms. Teratio and then Councilwoman English.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I can find this in other places. I'm just curious as to how long these have been inactive generally. Like how long because every time I have sent around the request for committees for the year, I don't even remember seeing these on the list.
And that is to our point why this is before you now. As we look at our current rules and looking at our current boards and commissions, we now see that the ones that are before you have not been inactive. They've been inactive for many years.
That was my exact question, so thank you.
So Livingston and then say the best for last, Ms. McBride.
Mr. Rube, I just want to be clear, regarding the Economic Development Commission, that's different from the foundation. Remember we put something together to fund a project? Is that this commission?
Real quick. Can I come right back to you?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And we'll go to Ms. McBride.
I understand wanting to delete these committees due to inactivity, but some of them seem very relevant, and I don't know why they were not active. And therefore, Mr. Chair, I'm assuming that, and I guess we can do anything through motions, that some of these we can bring back before the council, but just for cleaning out the commissions right now, that's why you're recommending that. Is that?
That is correct, Ms. McBride. And there are some on here that I feel very passionate about, like the second one, the Youth Commission. However, when we start to reevaluate things and look which staff member is going to be over this, is there a council member associated with this? We are now finding that we don't have all the answers to that. And so as we are cleaning up some things, and these have not been active, we are recommending to the council to let's remove them. And if there is something burning that a council member would like to bring forth and bring back, then we'll entertain it then at that time.
Thank you. Because I know a number of them have been inactive, but we actually did not have staffing to staffing for some of these committees. So nothing was done. And council members are already overworked with a lot of other activities, so they were not able to participate. So as long as we can bring it back at the appropriate time, I think it's a good recommendation. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I just also want to add to that some of these we also looked at, that there are some very strong nonprofits in our local community addressing the needs that are here. And so we would like to lend our support to those organizations versus trying to seat another commission or board.
Additional, Ms. McBride. All right. And Mr. Rubel, if you have the answer, then you're recognized.
Just to be safe, could we hold that specific committee out until we get further clarification?
Mr. Chair, do we have a motion? Oh, no, the committee recommendation. I'm sorry.
Oh, well. Okay. So which one we holding out?
Yeah. The
Economic Development Commission.
Hold that one out. Alanowski, you recognized?
Mr. Chair, can anyone tell me how long the Economic Development Committee, under the direction of Director Rubel, has been in place? When was that started?
Was it on council?
I know.
You mean the office or what? What are you saying?
Yeah, the office, Mr.
Yeah, when was the office? When was the department, the Economic Development Department? When were they founded?
I don't remember exactly right off.
Been several years.
Yes.
And this commission has not met during all that time. And I don't know about you, Mr. Livingston, but in my 16 years, I've never heard of this committee until it came to us.
See, that's why I'm thinking it may have met. That's why I want to get clarification.
In 16 years, if it hasn't met, okay.
I'm thinking it may have met to help with some issue we were dealing with.
All right, go ahead.
Ms. McBride. Well, if I could go to Ms. McBride, Mr. Director Rubel, go ahead.
Just to clarify, there is a separate group that handled it's a committee that oversees the Blythewood Industrial Park, IPRB. And we just wanted to make sure we weren't accidentally axing that committee when we need them in place for bond reasons.
Have we used them recently?
They might have met outside the knowledge or the purview of council. So we just want to act in abundance of caution.
See if they're meeting and we don't know about it, how they're having any effect on us.
Yes, well,
thank you.
I think
Ms. Barron or Ms. McBride? Ms. McBride, then Ms. Barron.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up with Mr. Rubel. Sometimes you have a committee that's required based on the ordinance or whatever we're dealing with, and that could be one of the requirements. So I think we've already seconded Mr.
No need to comment.
Just a quick question. If we remove this one item, what would be the mechanism that would bring it back before us if necessary? Would it come straight to us? Would it have to go back to rules?
Rules, but Ms. Barron, you want to speak to that or?
I don't know what the proper protocol would be. But I think that as this has come before this body as a recommendation, that it would probably have to come back in a form of a recommendation.
Mr.
Chair, I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Okay.
The substitute motion is to move forward with approval of all the items with the exception of the Economic Development Commission for now.
Second.
Okay.
Properly second. And for purposes of discussion, I also see the county attorney, Mr. Wright, wants to chime in. So Mr. Wright, you're recognized.
Right. Looking at this, the Disabilities and Special Needs Board, I know that the law provides for that, each county to have that. And I think Richland and Lexington has a joint board. So maybe remove that one too, just so I can do a little bit more research on that, just to make sure, because I think there is an active board with Richland and Lexington.
Wouldn't you recognize?
I have a substitute motion. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think you can. I mean, I move that we defer this item so that we can get answers on everything and handle it at once.
Your second?
A second.
So move to properly second. That's non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
No.
McBride,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Aaron, does that conclude the report?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Barron. Yes, Ms. Mackey.
I'm sorry, can I have I think we need a motion to reconsider.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. I was getting ready to insert as well.
Motion to reconsider, yes, I'm assuming that's seconded by Ms. Barron.
Yes,
All right, it's been moved.
Items A,
A and B.
All right, moving to properly second. Any discussion?
Yeah, which one, what are we reconsidering here?
We're
18A and 18B.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
No.
Hugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Joe Walker,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton. Motion fails.
Item on the agenda is item 19, other items. Item 19A, which is fiscal year 22, District 5 hospitality tax allocations.
Chair,
Yes, Ms. Newton, you're recognized.
I move to approve items 19A through F.
Okay,
Second.
move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next
Move to
item,
reconsider.
Second.
it's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski, Hugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Joe Walker,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 19G, which is a resolution to appoint and commission.
Mr. Chair, move to approve items G, H, and I.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 20, which is executive session. The executive session items will be items 7A, which is Alamos Glen Detention Center, and item 7B, which is the Lower Richland Library lease. And at this time, I entertain a motion for executive session.
So moved.
Let's move properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Now in executive session.
How quick y'all can do this?
Joe Walker.
Second.
We're not live yet.
Oh, I got.
All right, entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Okay.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron, O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, we went into executive session to discuss item 7A, the Alvinus Glen Detention Center, item 7B, the Lower Richland Library lease, and no action was taken. At this time, I entertain a motion. Mr. Malinowski, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd make a motion that council authorize the county administrator to use available funding to approve contract services for the Alvin S. Glen Detention Center.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I'd just like the record to reflect that Councilwoman Barron had to step away to take care of her situation. But otherwise she would still be here, but just wanted the record to reflect that she had to step away from the meeting.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize Ms. Newton.
thank you. I move to reconsider the previous item.
Again.
Move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Joe Walker,
Aye.
O'Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 21, motion period, item 21A. That motion has been authored by Ms. Newton. Motion reads, I move that Richland County update its policies to allow the expenditure of CDBG funds or community development block grant funds and other federal funds for affordable housing anywhere in Richland County, regardless of jurisdiction. Current Richland County policies only allow expenditure of these funds in the unincorporated parts of the county. Ms. Newton, would you care to express what you'd like to see happen with this motion?
Certainly. Well, if the body wanted to accept it by unanimous consent, that would be fine. But currently, I don't think that it was a council vote, but it is the current policy that limits where funds can be expended, which would mean that residents all across Richland County who need affordable housing wouldn't be able to have access to things that we're supporting with our funds, or on the flip side, that all the affordable housing would have to be only in one part of the county. And so I'm simply asking that we adjust that policy so that our staff can make funding decisions with those federal dollars based on where the needs are, as opposed to us stipulating that it can only be in one small part of the county.
Recognized,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Malinowski.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought what you wanted to know was maybe what committee it should be sent to.
That's what.
Maybe
that's
we
what I
get a
was
brief
getting at.
answer.
Obviously, you would want it passed, but
Well,
the unwanted it passed, Ms. Newton. Would
Sure.
you prefer for it to go to committee? And
Sure.
and if so, which committee?
That's your prerogative. I was thinking that it might be appropriate in DNS, but if there's a different committee, then that's fine.
Okay, well, it can go to DNS. So go to all right. All right, next item on the agenda, 22, adjournment. It's been moved to properly second. No discussion needed. Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yeah.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio, Joe Walker,
Yes.
O'Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Adjourned.